Welcome to a special edition of Inside Tennessee on the Road. Our guest this morning, Randy Boyd, and boy do we have a lot to get to in this new multi-use stadium in downtown Knoxville, set to open in the middle of the month. My colleague John North is with us, and along for this game, Janet Testerman. She's the Republican on our panel, and she joins us. She's a longtime city council member. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Don Bosch is here, longtime lawyer, runs his own firm, and is a Democrat. Nice to have you, Don.
Good morning, guys. What a wonderful place to be in.
Pretty cool. Randy, just set the scene for us. This is pretty magical.
You know, I think you've just set the entire tone for why we need to have a baseball stadium. So one of the great things, and we've talked about this, that a baseball stadium can do, a multi-sport entertainment facility can do, is bring people together. You know, I say this all the time. You know, a baseball stadium can bring rich and poor, young and old, black and white, everybody together. And as example, just now, it could even bring Republicans and Democrats together.
So once in a while, we survive.
Yes. So, that's the idea behind this stadium, to be able to bring people together, to build community, and I appreciate you guys having us doing your show here today.
We are grateful to have you. John, why don't you lead us off?
Well, this has been an amazing adventure for not just you, Randy, but all of the city, really, and the county, because this is a project that's been in the works for many, many years. I just would like to get a sense of what's going through your head as you walk around this place knowing that on April the 15th, it's going to open for baseball.
Yeah, it does seem a little unreal. I mean, it's been a concept, a vision. Actually, I'll even say it's been a dream to have a baseball stadium for probably 30 years. Since I was a very young man, traveling around the country, looking at other major league stadiums and thinking how wonderful it would be. And then 3 or 4 years ago, we started outlining what this could be and having developing the concept of it, working with architects for 2 years, going back and forth on all the details. And so you do all that, but still you don't appreciate how amazing this facility is until you actually physically walk in here. And I'm amazed every time I walk through. It's really awe-inspiring. The amphitheater feel that it has, with a condominium on one side, apartments on the other two sides, a swimming pool in center field. My wife and I disagree. I say that we're the only stadium in the country that has a river running through it, and she's quickly to point out that it's a creek, but I'm going to stick with a river, but a river that runs through it inside the park. So it's just unique and spectacular.
I will say this briefly. As we were getting ready to film this, I saw a bus roll up and a bunch of tall, young athletes walked out, and I was like, that's the team. Mm-hmm. This may be their first chance to see it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, usually with minor league baseball, the team goes to wherever they're going to play first. So they stay at spring training and then go straight. If they're on the road, they'll go straight to their first series. They never get to come to their home park initially. But this time the Cubs made an exception, and they're allowing the players to come here for a couple of days. We're taking them all out to dinner. It's kind of been a tradition. When the team comes in every year, Jenny and I will take them to a nice dinner. So we'll be doing that tomorrow night and welcome them to the stadium and to Knoxville.
Janet?
You know, I just, aside from the economic impact that the stadium is having on our city, I would really love to know what community benefit you're most proud of as this sets to launch.
Yeah, so well, the impact that we hope for the most will be that bringing the community together. And I'm expecting that to happen. We haven't been able to measure that yet because we haven't had a game, but again, I think this is an opportunity to bring people together throughout the year. So some people will comment that what happens after after baseball season, we're going to have all types of concerts and other events. A model for us was a stadium in Fort Wayne, Indiana that has over 700 events a year. So our goal will be to have events year round. For example, last year Fort Wayne had a light show for Christmas. They had over 100,000 people show up from Thanksgiving to New Year's. We want to do the same thing here. Hopefully we can do it this year, but if not this year, the following year. So again, it's just a place to bring our community together year round for a variety of events, not just baseball.
So, Randy, talk about what's happening around the ball field and the ballpark, because I think that's a really important thing for the city of Knoxville. And I want you to maybe answer A, what's coming, and B, this was sort of a blighted part of town that really has been renovated, but how do we keep some of the culture, you know, we go down Magnolia and some of the older homes and sort of avoid the gentrification problem that a few people have been worried about a little bit?
Yeah, let me answer that in 3 parts.
Sure.
First, about this project. We had a $120 million baseball stadium, but we had built on at the same time another $250 million worth of residential attached to the stadium, along with about 13 different retail outlets on the outside. And then there's a public plaza almost twice the size of Market Square that the city's building. So you've got already this one big development. But in addition to that, I mean, I think your second part of your question was what's coming next? I can think of about 5 major developers that are looking at land right next to the stadium that could be another 800 to 1,000 apartments, residences, that could be another $500 million in development. So we fairly soon, within the first 3 to 5 years, may have $1 billion worth of development in this area, which back to this being an area that was blighted. This particular site for the last 100 years had been a meatpacking plant. It had never been a residential because it was just not a very good piece of land. So to be able to add all of this in this site, the goal is to make a bridge from the old city and downtown Knoxville to East Knoxville. With regards to gentrification, if that means that property values will be higher, then I think that could be a good thing. They will see more investment, more retail, developing throughout the area. I remember our mayor was telling me during her campaign, she knocked on one door, this one elderly lady, and said, well, what do you think about gentrification? And she said, honey, this house was worth $10,000 4 years ago. I had somebody offer me $350,000 the other day. I'm all for whatever you call this.
That's a good day, that's right.
And just to put a button on that money, the investment here may produce 5 to 10 times what we see just in where we're sitting.
That's right. This is meant to be a catalyst. This is a spark to create economic development all around the area. As I mentioned, I know a few people that are doing some really big projects, but it's not, I don't spend a lot of my time monitoring that, but I know that land all around has been bought and people are planning on other investments. So the part that I can quantify is probably just a fraction of what else is going to be developed in the area.
We're going to come back with more questions with Randy Boyd here at the new multi-use stadium set to open on April 15th. We're back right after this. Welcome back to a special edition of Inside Tennessee on the Road. John, these are our favorites. We're at Covenant Health Park, pre-opening April 15th.
I've been looking forward to this a long time. I think it was 18 months ago. I walked around with Mo from Denark and another reporter, and none of this was here. We were walking around in gravel and pits.
Randy has said every time he walks in, it's changed for the better. So thank you again for being with us. Don.
Randy, let's talk about, I know you have a lot of skin, your own money and your own time and sweat and blood in this. How was this project financed for our viewers? So I think there's always that concern, hey, is this where we're spending our tax money? And there really is a different model that's been employed.
Yeah, I think one can say that no tax dollars is being spent in this project. So here's how the model works. The city and county created a sports authority that took out a bond to borrow $650 or $65 million. The bond will be paid off by lease payments that Boyd Sports pays back to the sports authority. Our lease payments are $1 million a year. On average, AA teams pay about $250,000 to $300,000. We're paying about 3 times the average, but that allows the sports authority to cover that bond. Additional funds, I donated the money donated the land, and then donated another $6 million to, at one point when we had a small shortage. We went to the state and asked them to not have collect certain taxes in this area for 20 years. And they said, no, we don't want to do that, but what we assume that we would collect taxes in this area that would normally have not created any taxes up to a certain amount. We're going to just give you the net present value of that. So the state provided that, but that's money that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And then lastly, I loaned the city or the sports authority $20 million to get us to yet another delta that we had. I get paid back that $20 million via increases in taxes in the area that where we don't have any tax base now. So I know it sounds complicated, but the net of it is multi-faceted financing strategy, none of which requires taxpayer dollars, some of which I hope to get paid back one day.
Well, we hope you get it back as well, but I have a feeling you'll make it.
I think so.
Yeah, so this project had so many political challenges, and especially being a publicly owned facility, I had a front row seat to a lot of this. Given that experience, would you approach things differently in hindsight going through this process?
No, let me take this opportunity to say in this project, there are a cast of hundreds of people that I need to thank. And I get a little anxious about April 15th and April 14th and all the people that I'm supposed to thank, because I know that I'll thank 200 people, and the 201st person that I forgot to thank will come up to me and afterwards be really upset. So I want to start by saying thank you to you, Janet, on being on the city council. Since the city council, as you recall, could be challenging at times. And so that was challenging, but I wouldn't do it differently. I'm not sure what we could have done differently. I think now, what I know now is that I just needed to have patience, because the sense all across the community is overwhelmingly supportive. There's always going to be some naysayers, but there were times at a city council meeting when I would think, I don't need this. I should just stop. But I knew this would be for the greater good, and just because a few people were unhappy, shouldn't let the greater good be derailed.
Absolutely.
So, Randy, what happens to the ballpark out in Sevier County?
That's up to Sevier County. They have their own sports authorities, which is owned by the city of Sevierville and Sevier County, and they're going to put out an RFP, and they'll decide what they do with it there. I'm 99.9% sure it won't be a baseball stadium.
We've talked about the fact, and you've mentioned this many times, that the Smokies will have 70 games here.
That's right.
And we will also have some One Knox soccer games.
That's 20.
20. But there's another thing that I'm thinking about, and that's you bringing the Rolling Stones to play here. Because this place can accommodate concerts. So how quickly might we see a concert here, and are you taking requests?
We are hopefully going to have anywhere from 3 to 5 concerts this year. There's so much going on right now and getting everything organized. It might be harder to have the steady state this year that we'll have in the future, but I would hope that in the future it'll be at least 5, maybe as many as 10 concerts. I'm learning a little bit about the concert business in this process, and it turns out that the artist is guaranteed to make money and the promoter is guaranteed to make money, and I'm the only one at risk. But we'll see. So we're going to see how that works. But with your partnership and financial support, I think the Rolling Stones could be a possibility.
We've got a guy right down the street named Ashley Capps that knows a little bit about that world.
And
On
we-
the heel of big ears.
Yes.
I think Ashley could help you solve those problems.
And to that point, Randy, you have called this the People's Park. Explain that expression, and we've talked about it, but just in sum, why you look at it that way.
Yeah, so it's not just a baseball stadium, not just a soccer stadium, not just a sports facility. It's the People's Park for all kinds of things. We've got a reception area that can hold 300 people. I hope and expect people will get married there. We'll have conventions, we'll have Rotary clubs, there'll be farmers markets in the public square, there'll be all kinds of events. Our goal would be to have over 700 events a year in and around the park. And so people of all walks of life doing all types of things will come here and enjoy the park.
We're going to talk about jobs and also what viewers and fans can expect on opening day. We're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. We're back at the ballpark right after this. And we're back on the road on Inside Tennessee with Randy Boyd at the new multi-use stadium in downtown Knoxville, along with John North. I'm John Becker. Janet Testerman with us, Don Bosch with us, breaking down the impact of this ballpark on the city of Knoxville and beyond. And Randy, I promised we'd talk about jobs. Can you talk about that immediately around the stadium and then what you expect beyond?
And we just had a jobs fair. We had 3 different jobs fairs in East Knoxville. One at the Chain Center, one at Jackson Terminal, one at the Knox Area Urban League. We hired over 350 people, most of which from this community, doing a range of different jobs. We just recently hired a new contracting firm, a cleaning firm, that's going to be managing the park. People sometimes say, well, those are menial jobs. The jobs that these guys are hired to clean the stadium, it starts at $20 an hour, 5 hours a night, which is pretty good pay for a lot of people. A lot of people will be using this to supplement their income, but $20 an hour jobs for part-time work here at the stadium is on offer from this company. In addition, we've got lots and lots of retailers that are going to be opening up. We'll save that for a future surprise, but we've got at least 6 different restaurants that are planning on opening up in the stadium, facing the outside, and adjoining the stadium, and they'll also be employing lots of people.
So hundreds of jobs, fair to say, just in the construction work and then the immediate start of the stadium.
I think the construction would be another set of hundreds, but those are temporary. When we were advocating for the stadium, people tended to focus on the construction jobs. And I always wondered why we spent so much time talking about them, because in most cases, it's a 3-month or a 6-month, maybe a year job. But if you're doing the concrete, it's a 2-month job. But the real important jobs are the permanent jobs. And these 350 I were mentioning are jobs that will be here throughout the season. Some might be seasonal, but many will be throughout, especially the ones in the adjoining restaurants.
Behind us is an apartment complex, which looks really cool. You started off talking about it, and then condos. How soon will folks be moving into that apartment complex? Because that's where we're going to see move in first, correct?
So in April, people will be able to move into what's called Yardley Flats. There's 233 apartments. There's some studio apartments, 3-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, a whole range of different apartment styles, half of which have views looking into the stadium. Jenny and I rented one. We've got it for the first year. We have a condo that'll be built later on, but the view is spectacular. So I'm remembering my ABCs, always be closing, but this is the coolest apartment that I've ever been in, and I think it's the most spectacular views in the city. And you, every night for a ball game, for about 8 minutes, not too long, you'll be able to watch fireworks out on your back patio and on Fridays and Saturday nights. But that's open in April, 233 apartments, swimming pool. If you get tired of watching the baseball game from the stadium, you can go to your deck. If you get tired of going to the deck, you could go and hang out with your friends on the patio. Or if you get a little hot, you can watch the game from your swimming pool.
Rental sites available.
Rental sites available, yep. And then the condominiums over on right field, 9 stories. There'll be 47 condominiums. The great part about the condominiums, other than just living there for the fans, it's on the west side, so it always blocks the sun. So we say every afternoon game and evening game, every seat in the stadium is in the shade because the condominium is such that it blocks the sun.
When I used to sit out at the Kodak Stadium, I sat in left field because I didn't like that sun blazing down on me. Now I'll be sitting down right field. Because it's just like you say, that shade is going to help.
Right field, you're always guaranteed, even at a noon game, to be in the shade, but even in left field with the condominiums, you'll also be in the shade.
How do you,
Go ahead, Janet.
how do you envision the game day experience changing? I mean, you've got enhanced technology, the mound's a pretty cool thing, like a little bit just for the baseball fan or just the concert or other event?
My belief is that this will be a cool experience, even if there's not a baseball game. If you want to pack a lunch and come down here and just hang out at lunchtime and just experience the ambiance with the condos and the river running through it and the big scoreboard and the apartments, it just has an incredible, cool feel. Add to that some excitement around a baseball game, it's going to be really incredible, or a concert. I think the game time experience will be second to none.
Randy, I've watched a lot of projects of this scale go up. I remember when Denver built their ballpark, a beautiful urban setting in a ballpark. This project went fast. Tell us how you kept it on track, your folks kept it on track, and shovel the dirt to today, it would have been 2 years?
Yes, that's right. I'm going to give a shout out to somebody that mentioned Mo Abbas that works for Denark. He was our project manager. He did an incredible job, and the whole team at Denark did an incredible job of finding innovative ways to solve problems. In any construction project like this, you got 4 different projects: the public park, the condominiums, the apartments, and the stadium. They all have a different financing structure. They all have a different ownership group, and they're built by 2 different contractors. They all share walls, and it all came together seamlessly. And that takes a lot of collaboration and partnership, and a big shout out to the folks at Denark for making that happen.
Yeah, and on top of some of the largest sinkholes in America, so well done.
Well, they call this the Bottoms,
Yes.
and it sounds kind of like a cute name, but it turns out it's because this is like the lowest place in Knoxville. And when we were digging the hole for the subterranean parking lot for the Delaney, we found out that we had about a 4-foot permanent water basin there. So basically, our parking lot is sitting in a swimming pool. We actually had to build a swimming pool around it. So that was a big engineering challenge to solve for.
And
But the team did it.
Brought up parking. That's the one thing I get asked.
Yeah.
Where are people going to park, and how many spaces do you have, or will you have when you open?
Yeah, so around the city, and it's something we did before we found this site, around the city within a half mile there's 7,000 spots, within a quarter mile there's about 2,500 to 3,000 spots. We figure we need anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 on a sellout. So there's plenty of parking. It's just not adjacent to the stadium. But I think it's a good thing. If you had a stadium like, say, where we're at now at Kodak, people drive to Kodak, they park, they walk into the stadium, they walk out, they never spend a dime anywhere in the community. Here, we'd like for people to park a few blocks away and either take a shuttle, and the city has done an amazing job of organizing shuttles that make transportation easy for the people that can't or don't want to walk. But for others, if you're able and willing, to spend 5 or 10 minutes and walking through our downtown. There's so many other restaurants and retailers for them to get to know, and we're hopeful that this has a huge stimulus on all of downtown Knoxville.
But for those people that may have difficulty walking or choose not to, there are some spaces adjacent to the stadium?
Yeah, the city, there are some places adjacent to the stadium. So but it'll be limited. But there are places within a 2-minute shuttle ride. And so there's Summer Place Garage, State Street Garage will have shuttles coming back and forth. So you just park as you normally would, go to the street and take a shuttle.
Janet asked about game day experiences. We're going to come back with a bit of a lightning round question about that. What did it take to put in a retractable pitching mound? We're going to ask that question, and that's one of the cool features you'll see here at the new ballpark and multi-use stadium, Covenant Health Park, inside Tennessee. We'll be right back. We're back on Inside Tennessee. As proof, it's on the scoreboard here with Randy Boyd, the visionary for this project. And before we get to a quick lightning round of questions, Randy, let's talk about what you're most anxious about heading into opening day on April 15th.
Well, I'm excited about opening day just because it's a celebration for our community. So many people worked so hard and dreamed about this day, and so it's going to be exciting to celebrate. I'm a little anxious about two things. One, just making sure that I thank all the people that we need to be thanked, because there's so many people that contributed to this. But the thing that's making me the most anxious is my two granddaughters, Penelope and Wiley, 4 and 7 years old, are expected to say, play ball. We've been practicing it for like the last 60 days, but I'm afraid that they're going to freeze up when they get on front of the camera. And if they forget to say play ball, there's no baseball.
Yeah, we'll just leave.
Yeah, that's exactly. So hopefully, if we've practiced enough, I feel pretty good about it.
Some quicker questions. You're the pet safe guy, you're the dog park guy, so will dogs be welcome here, and if so, how?
Probably not. We tried to do that at the park in Kodak, and it didn't work out so well. So try a lot of stuff and keep what works. That didn't work.
Janet?
How many hot dogs are you going to sell?
As many as people want to eat. And they will be brown and crispy as my wife likes them. She doesn't like white, soggy donut hot dogs, so they'll pass her inspection.
What's your favorite topping?
I like a Wrigley dog with the salt, celery salt, and the little peppers in it.
All right.
And mustard.
So Randy, you know this roster. We're both baseball guys to speak of, but who's the first player that our fans can expect to see in Chicago playing for the Cubs?
My bet will be probably Cade Horton. He's our star pitcher, like one of the top prospects in the Cub organization. I got to go to spring training about a month ago, and we've got some really good-looking players. So it's going to be a great team starting off this year.
Well, I wish them all well, but I'm a Cardinals guy, so every game but those.
That's
Randy,
all right.
One of the signature parts of this ballpark is the retractable mound. What are fans and people going to think of that?
Well, hopefully they never see it, because it's going to retract and come back up and down quickly. What they will appreciate is that we can go from a baseball game to a soccer game in a day, which otherwise it would take many, many days to change. So we'll be able to get more events in a shorter amount of time.
We only have about a minute left, but it's almost time to crack those bats. David Rayburn looking
Drop
at
the
me.
bat.
Yes.
Flip the bat.
1 minute left, but when people walk in and then walk out from this ballpark, what do you want them leaving feeling?
I hope they leave with a sense of pride that our community, because it's not Boyd Sports, it's the entire community, help come together to create this. And I hope they leave with a sense of pride of what their community can create, and hopefully sharing an experience that will create memories for a lifetime.
Randy Boyd, Janet Testerman, Don Bosch, John North, we appreciate the conversation on the road at Covenant Health Park on Inside Tennessee.
Thank you, John.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for hosting. Thank you for watching. And come out and play some ball on April 15th for the first pitch. We'll see you then, and we'll see you next week right here on Inside Tennessee.